Welcome back to the Master Arabia tournament. In blue we have Tougu, and in the orange we have VNS RoxWorld. So both players will be playing as Huns, as we are currently in Game 1. And as Game 1 always is, it is Huns. And what do we usually see in Huns? We see the Drosh every now and then, not all the time, but we generally see the Fast Feudal Age. We see that go up, we see that go into the Double Archery, into the Smith, and then that goes up into the extra range. So then they either go for the triple range or the double range, it's one or the other, and then they'll either go up to Castle or keep adding ranges on and go heavily into the Feudal War. And every now and then you get some scouts thrown in as well, not often though these days. Scouts have become really underrated, which is why people seem to use them so much, just because your opponent never expects them. So, if we go into the game now, what do we see from both players? Anything that we can see from both players? I believe that Tougu is ranked up something like 500 more points than RoxWorld, something like that. I know both players are around the 1.6, just over 1.6k. So, you know, they're not great players, but they're above average. Average, of course, in my book, being 1.6. That's a good point, actually. How do you guys think they can improve the rating system? Because, in my opinion, like, it's good, kind of, because it shows you the wins and losses, but the rating doesn't really show how skilled a player is, and there's probably going to be no way they can ever rate a player properly unless they have some massive round robin thing and players are just ranked individually via that. But what small changes do you think could be made to the rating system to make it a little bit more fair? Like, even if they just included, like, how many times to go up against higher ranked opponents, how many times to go up at lower ranked opponents. That way it's not so much the win to lose as it is what kind of level they play at. If they play heaps of 1.4s and win, then you'd have a decent rank, but your skill wouldn't be as good. Of course, it all comes down to the person, but it's really interesting to look at it like that. It's hard to explain, I can't explain it right now. So let's go into the game. We have the double ball lure there, looks like it was a bit late then, just outside the town centre as well. 3 villages on wood there, fairly standard. And we see the berries there, so 4 on the berries, quite a few on wood. Just the 3 though, interesting number, just going for the 4th there, so it doesn't look like we're going to see a barracks go down. But we might see a few more farms go down. He does have quite a few on food at the moment, honestly, so he could go scouts, and he's got the 5 villages there, so we could see a barracks go down and then a stable as well. So let's have a look around. He's just complaining that he can't find his sheep. 2 there, it's a bit far out. 2 there, that's alright. And a deer over there, as well as wolves over there. The sheep aren't too bad. If you explored in a big arc first, he should be alright, but if he's not, who the hell is to tell him that he's scouting wrong? So, actually, that's a good point. Let's look at the Fog of War. We can see right now Tougu has found his opponent. He's got his 2 farms up, which is a standard build after you have your board on. Going up with the second lumber camp, and got quite a few villages there on wood. So that says to me he's going to be going archers, but he doesn't have a gold camp up yet, which means he might not. So you have to look at a lot of things. You can't just look at one resource and go, he's doing this, and then build a straight counter to that. You have to look at everything as a whole. Like, you can see he's got lots on here. So that means could use archers, but it could also be wood, so he could build more farms and get scouts because he's not on this gold pile, unless he wants to go full skirmishes, which isn't often. And if I believe right there, we actually just saw Tougu return some of the sheep. That was actually such a nice move, and there we go again, returning sheep. What a nice guy there. So Tougu, good on you. What have we got? We do have the palisade wall going down, nice wall off there, fairly standard. Walling off this side here too. Tougu going up, and how close are we for RoxWorld? RoxWorld about to go up too. Both players going up at about the 11-10 minute, which isn't too bad, you know, that's about average. And there goes the stable there. So we could tell by the amount of villages on wood and the amount of villages on gold right now that is going scouts, because you hardly ever see someone go pure skirmishes. Unless you doubt, of course, I believe there is a game out there somewhere where all he does is build elite skirmishes, which was quite awesome to watch. I was pretty happy with that. You know, it's always good to see something funny. But there's not a lot happening in this age. And Idle Villager there, if we watch, and actually, good, I can click through Idols. I've never really used that until now. But there we go. So RoxWorld is going up with the stables well. He's currently just under in score, and it is actually quite close at the moment, so I'm not really one to judge at this point. quite a few farms going down, so they are preparing for the main attack here. However, Tougu, it does look like he's got 3 scouts going to be there a little bit faster, and looks like he's going to get some scouts in too. Spearman is up for RoxWorld though, so he has done well to counter there so far. But the thing is, if this spear gets out microed, but there we go, good walling there from RoxWorld actually, managing to hold that together. And the archery range going down here, so we are going to see a transition into the archery range. Sadly, there is only 1 spear on deck, which means that these villagers over here can get taken out, and almost thought they must have had loom there. That must have been his ball lure right there. And this spear here, getting ganged up on, not going to do too much damage to any of those cavalry archers, and these cavalry archers, scout cavalry, those scout cavalry not going to be able to take a lot of damage. Archery range up down there, 1 over here as well, so we see the double archery range from both people. RoxWorld's harassment down here didn't look like it went too well. Whether or not he actually brought these guys back or not, I don't know. I wasn't paying enough attention to that. I've been quite focusing on this section up here, because I reckon this is where the game is going to be done. So second archery range going up for RoxWorld. Does he? Yes, he is building at units there. He does have quite a nice location though. He's got his 2 stones in the back, he's got his gold over here. Shouldn't be too bad, honestly. But if Tougu keeps going these cavalry archers, and not cavalry archers, why do I keep saying cavalry archers? I'm in a real cavalry archer mood at the moment. Must be because I see Huns. But if he keeps going these scout cavalry and we see any extra skirmishes get built, it looks like he's going full archers though. But if we saw skirmishes, there could be in a lot of trouble. And actually kiting these spears here, actually, very interesting use there. And that's probably the biggest micro thing to do with scouts. For those who don't know, you see which one all the spears are targeting, you pull him out of the fight, so all the spears just get kited along after him. And it looks like he's getting a little bit of harassment down here. A few spears out though for Tougu, so he's going to be able to defend it off quite easily. The double archery though is going to make it hard, but using those skirmishes, of course he knows his opponent is going archers at this stage, pretty much full archer mix and no more scout cavalry, so that means he knows he can get away with spending less resources to get in there. And these guys might actually go for a complete run by it. No, they don't. They manage to get through, and that town centre getting garrisoned there, so good thing he didn't go for it. Tougu's still currently up in score, but not by a lot at this point. We see the third archery going down there. We do have the blacksmith down already, so we have seen fletching. And I'm interested to see, yes, so he's going for mostly skirmisher mix, just because he knows his opponent's going pretty much pure archer. He knows he's got these few scout cavalry here, but he's got these spears here to defend it, and there's going to be quite a big feudal war here, and a lot of it's going to come down to the fact that Tougu's got skirmishers on the field. And see, they're interrupting this supply here from the main army, of course, is going to be helpful. And there we see he's seen this, so he's going to be able to pick off these spears. And there we go, so microing those spears there. And archers over here, they should block these guys in pretty well. And there goes the archers. So not going to be able to do a lot there now. He's lost most of his spearmen. 1 on low health sitting there, and actually now he's lost all his spearmen. So he's not going to be able to defend off from this scout cavalry very well, even if he goes archers. Archers, of course, are pretty decent units, but when they go up against scout cavalry, not great. And looks like we're about to see a forward tower go down. Yes, we are, and tower going down for RoxWorld as well, which is the standard just agreement with that. When you see your opponent go down with the tower, you go down with the defensive tower. So that's just the general way it works. And seeing a 4th archery range go down for RoxWorld right now. He does have quite a bit of resources there, so he does have the freedom to do this, but if we look at his archery ranges, they're all full up as well. So there's no reason not to get that extra archery range down. However, once he loses his barracks, he could be in trouble, especially if these, yep, the units are into his base. So right now it's starting to look like good game, just because of the fact he has no defense up, he doesn't have many units at all on the field. Tougu hasn't had much harassment into him all game, and going up to Castle Age there, however, I don't think it's really going to help, just because you're not going to have the resources to get out those units you really need. So, at this stage, there's not really a lot you can do to break out of this. The best thing you could probably do is actually resign and pray it doesn't happen in the next game. We do have another defensive tower coming up over there. That's another thing you can do. You can put defensive towers up. When your opponent's got skirmishes, there's not really a lot they can do, because they'll just walk into the base of the tower like they are about to, and just kill the rest of them off. And lots of idle villages at the moment. Another tower coming up now. So he's pretty much been completely boxed in, so there's not a lot he can do at all. So I'm surprised he hasn't resigned yet, actually. And this Castle Age research at this stage is pretty much going to mean nothing, because he has no resources to keep doing. He doesn't have enough resources to put any town centers in, so even if his opponent stays in Feudal Age, he's probably still going to be able to take it, just because of the fact he's going to have this great population advantage. It's currently 29 population, to 67, and RoxWorld just going up there. But 29 to 67, you can just tell how that's going to end. Especially, like, you can get these upgrades, of course, which will give you the technological advantage. But when you're down by this much, there's no problem. And there we go, exactly what I mean. No wood that he could gather from. He was completely boxed in. Even if he did move out, his opponent would have seen him and been able to strike pretty easily because he wouldn't have had the resources to get a town center up. So good play there by Tougu taking the first game, and I'll see you guys in the second game.